Welcome back into the NFL Every Game on the Board podcast. That's Sportsmemo.com with our closer to finish off the NFL card from Jacksonville, Indianapolis, down to the Monday night game, Rob Veno. Robbie, welcome into the podcast. How are you?
I am great today, Drew. Looking forward to the weekend. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Happy Friday to you, Robbie. Happy Friday to the listeners. We were just talking right before we started with, man, these November weeks are just flying by. The season is tuning in, but you're doing good this season. So, how are you feeling overall?
We're feeling pretty good, Drew. Obviously, it's been a great campaign so far, and look to better that each and every week. But this week's card, this back third of the season, as we've discussed, a little bit different. And it looks pretty solid to me. So we're actually expecting to have a great amount of success this weekend. So I feel pretty good about everything. Had a lot of college basketball going on, too. Had a 2-0 there last night. So we're running pretty hot right now.
Yeah, first Saturday college basketball card on the slate for tomorrow. I'm about to dig into it as well. But, make sure to check out sportsmemo.com for all kinds of plays up. NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA, NHL. We even got some soccer up there as well. And if you're liking what you're hearing from Robbie Veno, we got the coupon code VENO40. That's VENO 40, no spaces, at checkout for 40% off any all-access package with Robbie Veno. His 4 and 5% plays in football have just been awesome. 17 units up on the season. That's on a 1 and 2 unit scale. And overall, his plays, 4 and 5% plays year to date, 30 and 17, 64% on the year. So they're up there on sportsmemo.com. Check them out. And remember the Veno40 coupon code at checkout for any all-access package with Robbie Veno, 40% off. Robbie, let's start off 263-264, 1 o'clock Eastern kick. Jacksonville at Indianapolis, 46.5 the total, with Indianapolis laying pretty much threes across the board. I'm seeing 1, 2.5 with some juice. How would you look to bet Jacksonville at Indy?
It's a big game, Drew. It's a big game for both sides here as far as divisional hopes go, as far as playoff hopes go. Both teams come in off a bye, which is good. They've had the extra week to prepare them. For Jacksonville, it was the extra week to help get Leonard Fournette healthy. Looks like he's a full go here this week against Indianapolis. The Jags have been without their leading rusher for a few games. Indianapolis run defense has been pretty good. Not sensational, but pretty good, giving up about 110 yards per game, not getting run over. Jacksonville's actually been worse defensively against the run, giving up 123. But I would expect that Fournette helps Blake Bortles and company out quite a bit here. I really have to believe that the week off helps Jacksonville as much as any team can be helped by a bye week so far this season, just due to the fact that they've been so below expectations to start the season. We saw a little bit of infighting heading into the bye, defense pointing fingers at offense. A week off to settle all of that nonsense and get back on the field in a game where you need a win inside your division. Jacksonville right now in the AFC South winless, 0-2. Indianapolis 0-1 in division as well, so important to them. I don't know which way to lean here, to tell you the truth. My gut reaction or my gut instinct is to say that Jacksonville's good enough to come out second half of the season and start to play the way we anticipated them playing from the get-go. But then the other half of me sees what Andrew Luck's been able to do so far this year, and if he can kind of keep the turnovers down, Indianapolis can be very difficult for Jacksonville. I just don't see the same defensive ability out of the Jags this year as we've seen heading into this year. For those reasons, it's a difficult play. Not even sure I like the total here, Drew. First instinct was to go ahead and play under, thinking that Jacksonville's defense would come out fired up for the second half of the season, but I'm not going to go against Andrew Luck here, and their defense has a way of giving up points as well. For me, this is a lot of words to probably say no play. Just don't like it either way, side or total.
Robbie, we got 265, 266 Detroit at Chicago. Looks like 43.5 or 44 being the total, and the Bears laying 6.5, and seeing a few sevens out there. How would you look to bet the Lions and Bears?
Yeah, I'd grab the 6.5 before you see all sevens. There's so many fundamental advantages for the Chicago Bears in this game. You can start with what shouldn't be a problem for the Lions, and that's their offense. A ton of questions this week asked externally, internally, about the Lions' offense. In last week's effort, only 209 total yards against the Minnesota Vikings. How it's gone awry? How come when they get to the red zone they can't score? Matt Stafford seems a bit baffled. He put it on his shoulders in a couple of quotes that I saw. But I don't know that those questions get answered against the Chicago Bear defense that is going to get Khalil Mack back for this game. They also will get Allen Robinson, starting wide receiver, back for this game. And one of the huge issues for the Lions on the defensive side of the football, Drew, is going to be that run defense, which ranks 30th in the NFL, giving up 142 yards per game. Chicago really exists offensively off of their running game. And right now they sit at number 7 in the league rush offense, number 3 in the league rush defense, just to show you how good the Bears have been at the point of attack, the line of scrimmage. When you sit inside the top 10 in both rush offense and rush defense, that's a pretty stout group. And it certainly towers over the numbers that the Lions defense has been able to put up this season. So there's just a ton of fundamental reasons to go ahead and play the Bears here. They're at home. It's a divisional contest just like the previous one we talked about. And for the Bears, believe it or not, they haven't won a game inside the division yet this year. They've only played one, but they lost that one. So in that race with Minnesota, they're both 5-3 overall right now. Chicago's going to have to start piling up some divisional wins. I think it starts here. I think the Lions are at a crossroads where they don't have a lot of answers from what I'm reading this week, and I think that'll show up on the field against the Bears.
Robbie, we got the biggest, by far, point spread of the weekend in the NFL. Arizona at Kansas City, seeing 17s out there. Well, that's with the Chiefs laying the number at home, 49.5 the total.
You know, it's tough to go against the Chiefs at any price. Well, I shouldn't say at any price, but at whatever the odds maker puts up right now, just because they've been able to cover every single week this year except for one. Last week, again, against the Cleveland Browns, they win by 16, cover the number. Jockeyed somewhere between the opener of 9 and the closer of 7.5. I know that bookmakers tend to turn 7.5s into 9s for teaser purposes. But that being said, the Chiefs have just gone out and covered and covered and covered again. And where the Arizona Cardinals are concerned, it's a totally different story. It's the worst offense in the National Football League, only putting up 13 points per game against an offense that puts up 30-plus by habit every time they walk out onto the field. So it's real hard to go against the Chiefs. But all that being said, in the NFL, laying this type of number, I don't really recommend ever. So you're getting the benefit of the key number here, Drew. You'll get 17. If you bet Kansas City, a 17-point win will cash for you. The 16.5 is a good number if you like the Chiefs to win big in this game. With the Chiefs laying this type of number, the first thing you have to look at is their defense, because it's been so vulnerable all season long. And it's still gives up in that area of 21 plus each and every week. Only once did they hold an opponent, or twice hold an opponent under 21 this season. That was Cincinnati and Jacksonville. Arizona might fit that bill, though. The offense has been so poor, they just might be held under 21 here, which would allow Kansas City some room. I'd probably hold my nose and play the Chiefs because I get the advantage of the key number. Don't like the total either way here. I need at least a halfway competent offense to go ahead and play Chiefs over. I don't know that their defense is good enough to play Chiefs under, so I lay off of that. But very, very, very slight lean towards Kansas City, just because you don't want to buck the train that's coming through. 8-1 against the number right now.
Robbie, what are we supposed to do with the Oakland Raiders? I mean, they got, I guess, a little bit of extra time to prepare, but still, this team, it's a tricky handicap to say the least. But we got the LA Chargers at Oakland to take on the Raiders. They're also laying 10, so laying doubles on the road in the NFL. Don't see that every day. 50 the total. How would you look to bet the Chargers and Raiders?
Yeah, two very, very opposite teams, Drew, because I think the best team in the NFL that nobody talks about is the LA Chargers. Right now, a very quiet 6-2. We've talked about them a couple times here on the podcast, but the fact that running game that they have now, combined with, it's hard to say that they're the best vertical deep passing team in the NFL because you have New Orleans out there as well, and I guess Patrick Mahomes and KC would rate very good with the deep ball too, but Phillip Rivers and his core of receivers pushing the ball downfield has been nearly unstoppable all season long, and the Raider pass defense is so vulnerable, allowing 263 pass yards per game. You can see quick scores out of the Chargers, and we've seen that a bunch this year, quick scores out of the Chargers through that passing game, sometimes even through the running game. With Melvin Gordon back now, they're that much better. The backs catch the ball out of the backfield. The Charger offense against the Raider defense, to me, seems to be as big a mismatch as you could possibly have. So they're going to score their share of points. The question becomes, Ken Oakland and Derek Carr, which still throws the ball pretty well, despite the fact that they lost Amari Cooper and they don't really run it well. They're so dependent on the pass. They throw it for 259 yards a game. But I'm from what I'm seeing, Drew, and my reaction to what Oakland will be able to do on offense here is probably not much. I think the Charger pass rush, which hasn't had Joey Bosa since all season, and he'll be back sometime soon. But they have found a way to manufacture pass rush, and the Oakland Raiders have found a way to get Derek Carr hit pretty consistently so far this season. He's been sacked 25 times overall. Chargers, like I say, a pretty good pass pressure defense. This is a case where I don't know that I would mind laying double digits. I mean, I said very, very, very slight lean toward KC, and I probably wouldn't play that at all, but I think I could get involved with the Chargers here. Raiders, when they made the trade for Amari Cooper, John Gruden kind of hinted that this team was going to be turned over to the running game and Doug Martin, and Doug Martin's status is even questionable for this game. So I think that the Chargers here, -10, it's a driven football team. Playing on the road for them is really no different than playing at home. We've seen what the Charger home crowds are like. I don't think the Oakland home crowd can help their team out very much at this point in time, so I'd probably look Chargers.
Got another LA team here, Robbie, talking the LA Rams. They're hosting the Seattle Seahawks. 50 the total, with the Rams laying 9.5. Pretty much across the board at home.
I guess the first question is, how do the Rams bounce back off of their first loss of the season? I think they'll bounce back just fine. I don't think that loss to New Orleans does any damage to the LA Rams, whether it be psyche, whether it be on the field fundamentally. I don't think there's any problem here, so I'm going to expect big effort out of the LA Rams. How many Seahawk fans will be able to jam into that stadium, we'll see. How well they travel. We know the last time LA was here, Green Bay almost filled half that stadium with their fans. So that could be a little something too. But the Rams play around all of that stuff. I think one of the biggest things is to go back to the first meeting of the season between these two, where Seattle almost won that game. They lose 33-31, real good effort out of the Seahawks. And really that was the beginning of exposing a Rams defense that I think we all thought was going to be extremely good this year, considering the names that they've tacked onto that roster. But they just haven't been all that good defensively. Last week, of course, New Orleans, a very good, maybe the best offensive team in football. They give up 487 yards. The week before that against Green Bay, they give up 27 points. And if not for a fumble on a kickoff return, they had a chance to lose that game at home. Seattle did a good job getting 31 against them, against competent teams that can score. LA's had trouble in the last 5 weeks or so. We'll see if Seattle can exploit that here. Russell Wilson obviously leaning on that ground game, which has been so improved, 137 yards a game. The Rams, a pretty good run defense, so that'll be a clash there. I think this game could turn out a lot like the way the first one did, Drew, as far as scoring is concerned. I can see a lot of points being scored here. With Cooper cut back at 100%, I know he was back last week, probably less than 100%, but now at full capacity, I don't think that the Seattle secondary, I talked about them a little bit last week, is not having any real good cover guys back there. And Bradley McDougald, the strong safety, was even hurt. So I think LA is going to do a real good job offensively here. But Seattle can match them, I think. Maybe not point for point, but at least enough points to get this thing over the total. Last week we had a Rams game that hit 80 against the Saints. Obviously we wouldn't look for 80 points here, but first game hit 64. And like I say, I think Seattle's diversified enough on offense now to continue to give LA trouble. So I might look over.
Guys, we've got a couple games left here, and remember the coupon code VENO40, VENO40 at checkout for 40% off anything to do with Rob Veno all-access packages on sportsmemo.com. We got the Sunday night game, Robbie. Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, 43.5 the total, with the Eagles laying 7 to 8, depending where you shop at home.
Yeah, I guess the common thought for an overwhelming majority this week here, Drew, is that this is the time for Philadelphia to hit the gas pedal and put that NFC East out of reach for everybody who's allowed them to hang around, whether it be Washington or Dallas. And, of course, the Giants have been abysmal all season long. But the Eagles haven't been themselves, and yet they find themselves in a great position to go ahead and win the division, starting here with a divisional matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. You know, they picked up Amari Cooper, and the idea behind the pickup was to be able to stretch the field a little more. And when we watched Dallas against Tennessee on Monday night, there was no stretching of the football field with Amari Cooper. In fact, Dallas had great opportunities to maybe be up 17-0 in the first half of that game due to turnovers by Tennessee, and they just didn't take advantage. The offense is stagnant, whether it's the play calling, whether it's the decreased play of Dak Prescott, no matter what. This offense doesn't strike a lot of fear into anybody, and as aggressive as the Eagles are on defense and as good as their defensive line rotation is, you could expect them to just show a bunch of guys within 3 yards, 5 yards of the line of scrimmage and dare Dak Prescott to go over the top of them and beat them. We'll see if Dallas tries it. I mean, you have to give it a shot. If it were me calling plays for Dallas, I would certainly give it a shot in this game. But Dallas just seems to be unwilling to go deep. If that's the case, Philadelphia could run away and hide in this one. I'd expect Carson Wentz and company with that. You know, there's a lot of talk here in the Philadelphia area, Drew, that Josh Adams, the rookie from Notre Dame, who I've thought all along since the preseason was the best running back on their roster, that he's going to get a lot more work here. And I think if he gets an increased workload, his breakaway ability is second to none as far as Philadelphia running backs are concerned, and that could cause trouble for Dallas too. I think they're going to be without Sean Lee in this game, the Dallas Cowboys are, without their middle linebacker. Their defense always seems to go down in production. For me, I can't find a lot of reasons to play Dallas. I think the surprise would be if Dallas tries to go deep multiple times in this game and are successful. You can be successful against the Eagles with the deep ball. We see those guys get torched quite a bit in their secondary. I just don't know that Dallas has shown any propensity to do it. If they do it here, I might get burned, but I think I'll be on the Eagles in that game.
Robbie, last game up, the Monday Nighter, 275-276, New York Giants, San Francisco 49ers, 44.5, with the 49ers laying 3.5 at home.
Yeah, I think for me, Drew, I would probably lean towards the Giants here with points simply because I don't think San Francisco, they do have 24 sacks on the season, but I don't think that they can apply the amount of pressure that some Giants opponents have applied to Eli Manning this year. If Eli Manning even gets just that extra half a tick, I think that you'll find Odell Beckham catching balls in this game. I think that you'll find Sterling Shepard catching balls in this game with tight end Evan Ingram back the last couple of weeks. I think he can catch balls in this game. The whole key to this Giant offense basically is that offensive line giving an extra half second to Eli Manning so he can get rid of the ball rather than, picking himself up off the ground. Saquon Barkley does what he does, makes plays virtually without the help of an offensive line opening holes for him. But I think that San Francisco just falls into that category of not enough pass rush to, make Eli Manning either throw quickly into mistakes or wind up on his back. So I think the Giants' offense is going to be good here. San Francisco's offense will probably be good too, but in a matchup of teams that are both really bad and are both fairly equal, I think the difference could be the plus points and the fact that I think Eli Manning's going to make a couple completions here that he hasn't made in a lot of games so far this season, just due to a little bit of extra time provided to him, because San Francisco's rush isn't what I would describe as elite at this point in time.
Rob Veno's 4 and 5 star plays 30 and 17, 64% year to date. The coupon code Veno40 at checkout for 40% off any all access 3-day, 7-day, all the way up to 90-day all access package, 40% off at sportsmemo.com with the coupon code Veno40. Robbie, this is the last podcast for the week here at Sports Memo. Any closing words here before we shut this down?
Yeah, not too much, Drew, except for the kind of standard send-off that we give every single week, wishing the listeners all good luck out there with all their plays. I know be wary of a little bit of cold weather across the country. I don't think it's going to affect much, but the temperatures are going down. I even heard this morning that in Illinois there was snow. So just be wary of the weather reports. I don't see any danger out there as of now, though, so I don't think it's anything that should deter anybody off of their bets.
All right, Robbie. Well, for Rob, I'm Drew, and for Rob Veno, I'm Drew Martin, and thanks for tuning in, guys. Best of luck with your bets this weekend, and we will be back on Monday with Teddy Covers' NFL Opening Line Report. Thanks for tuning in.